How long does it feel like when you bought this one?
Looking back now, going back over the Fizo and having a look around, it feels like it's been 2 or 3 years. Yeah, look, one sold and another one to sell, and I loved this project on paper. And feasibility I thought looked great.
Can you take us back to, how was it identified?
What looked like to be a corner site, but surrounded by big mature trees on the nature strip, and I thought, geez, how good would this be? But it looks like there's a couple of big red flags already. Probably not going to be great, but got down here and I was pleasantly surprised.
Hey guys, welcome back to Peter Kelly Property. Pumped today. We're out on site on a newly finished townhouse development site. One of the team's favourites, one of my favourites also. So we thought, what better opportunity to deep dive into how it all went, what went right, what went wrong. So in this episode, we're going to be talking to the guru, GK, about the acquisition, bit on the Fizo, why he liked this site, and would he buy this site again if he could. Now remember, the next 2 episodes, Claire and Sasha going to be talking about the design and then going to be talking about construction. So make sure you hit the subscribe button, turn the bell notifications on so you don't miss this. This is a 3-part mini-series on one of our most favourite projects. And here we are, we're on site. So let's get into it. GK, thanks for coming out of the office, mate, and onto site.
Here we are. I can't believe it. I'm allowed to be out of the office and I'm allowed on site. First time.
How long does it feel like when you bought this one? I feel like they take a while to get done, but I feel like it wasn't that long that day when you called.
Yeah.
It's like, PK, we got this one.
Yeah, look, looking back now, just going back over the Fizo and having a look around, it feels like it's been 2 or 3 years. I don't remember how long it's been, but yeah, look, one sold and another one to sell. And I remember looking at the photos as they came through, and I loved this project on paper. Feasibility I thought looked great, but once I got to see how the design ended up, the finishes, I was pretty excited.
Yeah, 100%. Because obviously, as everyone knows at home, you see them right from identification stage. You might see them on REA with a nice red rectangle around them, or you might be called with an off-market opportunity. So you see them bare bones, old house, there's a lot that needs to happen to get to this stage from when you purchase it. Can you take us back to, how was it identified and what did you think as far as sites go in that early stages?
Yeah, look, it actually was just something that was online from memory. I'm testing my memory here a bit, but 780 square metres, 16 metres wide, what looked like to be a corner site, but surrounded by big mature trees on the nature strip. And I thought, geez, how good would this be? But it looks like there's a couple of big red flags already. On closer inspection, noticed that there's actually another street frontage on the third side. But south of that, which is just over this way here, there's a bit of an industrial precinct. And there's actually, on the other side of the street, which is the third facing street, there was actually sort of where the industrial property started. And when I looked at Land Checker, which was an aerial, and we can't be sure when that photo was taken, it showed lots of sort of bays full of dirt and soil and pebbles and things, which is sort of like a soil works or something like that, like a wholesaler. And I thought, oh, look, this is probably not going to be great. But got down here and I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, I think, and we sort of say this a bit, the boots on the ground, actually get out there and feel the feels on the site. And I remember doing that with you on that day, and that was just, another reminder that until you get down there and sort of feel it, and what sort of impact, like you said, that start of the industrial properties has on the site, you can't make a judgment until you sort of come down and feel it.
No, look, there was a few good surprises. Starting with the property to the south, it wasn't a Soilworks anymore. That had changed, and it was actually a high-end car wholesaler.
Yeah.
So the whole back area had been completely sealed, and there would have been very few sort of cars travelling in and out of that space. Definitely not trucks full of pebbles, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So that was great. There's also just out the back, what we lovingly called the swamp, is actually just a nice sort of garden area. And had a look over the back fence, and it was actually really nice and clean and quite nice. Probably wouldn't mind your kids venturing over there after school. And also, and most importantly, when you look at the trees outside here, and we'll probably do some cutaways, They're very mature, they're big trees. So when looking at putting extra crossovers into a corner site to get 2 or 3 dwellings, they would have been a serious problem, and really probably would have killed it for a lot of developers who didn't do the work or didn't even come down and have a look.
Yeah.
And what we found was there was 3 crossovers in place, almost perfect to where you want them.
Which is crazy, really, because it was one dwelling. They had one out the back, one on the side, and one on the front. And yeah, the fact that all those, obviously the due diligence, go over to the designer. What do you think? Thinking 3. And yeah, to say that, well, your crossovers, based on all the trees, your crossovers are where they need to be, because you're not going to be able to forge anymore. It was nearly an omen that it was that good. And then even, that park sort of across the way a bit, Gav, like that felt really good, like for young families. And that was probably the appeal of the townhouses and how we're going to try and design them, like we do, that 3-4 bed scenario. For young families, that park was a winner.
Well, from the back townhouse at the further south, you can see the park. It's just down the end of the street. And we went down, it was probably between 50 and 100 metres down the street. We went down, had a look, and noticed that it's completely fenced as well. So not only is it a family playground with an actual an asset in there for the kids to use, but it's fully fenced as well, which is just more added safety. Also noticed, and you see it here again today, a lot of the surrounding houses are well kept. There's a nice development across the street, probably 5 to 10 years old, but still really, really neat and tidy. And as I say this now, I was thinking when we were sitting here prepping, I wonder how many cars go past. And the first one just went past. And I've been sitting here for the last 10 minutes or so.
Yeah.
And so my point there is that there's not much traffic. And that's an important point, because we've got this industrial precinct here. And further south to that was Bay Street, I think it is, from memory. Bay Road. And so when you're looking at these sorts of sites that are close to industrial, even if you're a block or 2 away, how is all the traffic going to get there? Are they going to go past your front door? And in this instance, 99% of it would be coming straight off Bay Road, straight up in, right into the heart of the industrial and out again. So very few, I guess, heavy vehicles would be coming through here. Yeah,
I couldn't agree more. And that's something I know you're big on, is zooming out and going, how are we getting through here? And are they going to be coming past, the new townhouses door? And like you say, this is where we're on a business day, in the middle of the day, business hours, and no cars come past.
So that was the first one. And we got 3 street frontages. So, it's super quiet. There's heaps of parking out the front as well.
Because everyone just uses Bay Road rather than cutting through the resi. So, that was a great point, and we were confident at the time, but nice to come back here and a couple of years later and appreciate how quiet it is.
Well, all the trees still look terrific. We've got our crossovers in place. Down the back corner, we were a little bit worried about TPZs, but at the very, very early stages, we sent it straight off to our town planner, had an assessment done, and we were sort of doing our feasibility off 3 19 square townhouses. So probably, a tight 4-bedder or a really generous 3-bedder. And as it turns out, and we talked through the design with the girls, we're averaging around 22 squares. So
22, 23.
Amazing.
Which is, as you know, that difference of sort of 2 to 3 squares is, it's good. It makes a massive difference.
Yeah, great. And so adding to that, we've got the design right, I think. We've got bigger dwellings. Evidently, we just don't have any problems with traffic. We've capitalised on the crossovers being in the perfect place. And the design's terrific. So it's turned out to be a real ripping development.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. And these have always been one of my favourites since build costs have gone up, and we're doing a few other things, a few singles, a few duals, and we're trying to be very efficient in the way we develop, because costs have gone up so aggressively. But the 3 townhouse corner site, everyone probably in the office knows, one of my faves, simply because you get the 3, you get the extra one than the dual. They are reasonably all side by side, no common property. And they do, from a design perspective, which, like you say, we will get into in the next episode with the girls, because building in that sort of square fashion, a 23 square will probably play like a 25, 26 square side by side, dual lock. And that's sort of, and which we'll get into in the last step as far as some resales and that sort of thing. But that's what we're seeing in the marketplace. The marketplace is gravitating and probably preferring a 23 square, I guess more so square design and less moving room, less long passages than the sort of skinny side-by-side townhouses. So, yeah.
And the funny thing is, it had to go to auction. So I saw a few red flags before I got down here. We walked the site. That's right, you were here together actually on that day, I remember now. So I had to go to auctions. I thought, here we go. Everyone's going to see what we've seen. And it was just me and one other bidder, and I think he may have been a neighbour. And
I think it was you in the rain.
Yeah, it was me in the rain. It was a winter's morning. It was raining. It was like a really early auction. It was like 8 or 9. It would have been 9 in the morning. I remember it being really early, and I thought, I'm sitting in the car, and it's like 2 degrees on the temperature gauge. I'm thinking, what are we doing here? What's going on? Surely I
better bring home the bacon.
Yeah, I hope no one's going to rock up because it's terrible. And sure enough, there's probably only like 10 people here, if that. Probably a couple of neighbours and one other person, and they sort of put their hand up, and I bid above that, and it was passed in, and we just went inside and negotiated with the vendor. And look, not to be too specific, but we had quite a bit left in the pocket to go. So in the end, by chance, it was a really good purchase.
Yeah, no, 100% it was. Let me ask you this: would you buy this site again, Gav?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Having 3 frontages, but low traffic, crossovers in place already, looking out the front window here, mature trees with lots of foliage on them. It looks like a really sort of well-grown, beautiful area, but you've got a brand new townhouse. It's a cracking spot. Yeah,
100%. So lovely work. You found the opportunity. We did the due diligence, FISO stacked, come to auction, secured it. We clustered together a few investors, that were keen to get involved, and luckily they did. Which we'll touch on in sort of wrapping up in episode 3 of this mini series. But a good site all round, and that's the thing. People that follow along, they understand that over the last 2 years, we've seen build costs go up. We've seen the Melbourne market be fairly flat, and it still is fairly flat at the moment. Like, it is starting to show some signs of re-emergence and recovery, but it has been reasonably flat, and this development has performed well. So just goes to show that, as long as I've been developing, to see the costs go up as much as they have, and to see how sort of bad a market it is at the moment, to see 14 interest rate rises in a row, is just madness. So, and that's essentially what we've been playing in. That's the arena that we've been playing in. So, goes to show that you buy a good site, a good asset, something that can be designed and developed well, it will hold you in good stead even through, some pretty turbulent sort of times.
Yeah, and to end up with bigger dwellings than we expected, and the finishes being as nice as they are. And let's not forget, we're on the Bayside side of Nepean Highway. So we'd be a kilometre or so from the beach. So, we've also got that, which we haven't really discussed. It's a great area.
Yeah.
And would I buy it again? With the new res code changes that have come into play now, particularly in Bayside, we probably could have gotten a little bit more onto this site. So you give me another site like this, and I think we could even go better.
Yeah, and that's a really good point, because, like we say, Bayside, as we know, is quite onerous on first floor setbacks and things like that, which really impact a 3 site. We've got a good 3 site in Glen Ira, McKinnon Road, as the punters out there that are following along, they know, and similar quite size blocks, but we're getting a bit more on that side. Like you said, with Bayside, you find another site like this, and how hard you can go on it. I think you'd nearly be getting, instead of 3 of these sizes, you'd nearly get 4 of these sizes.
That's right.
So that's an exciting prospect.
Well, that's the option you got, isn't it? You can go to 4, or you can, depending how close you are to the beach, or the blue collar area, the white collar area. Sorry, you'd be looking at potentially just going to a 24 to 25 or 26 square dwelling, and making just a bit more lux, and putting a bit more money into the spec, and you might get because it's a house. When you're getting at that size with this shape footprint, you're starting to compete against houses. So it's you've got options as well.
All right, Gav, mate, thanks for coming on. Thanks for coming out on site and seeing and appreciating what the team's achieved off the back of your purchase. Must be satisfying, but yeah, some great insights there on the acquisition part of this one.
Well, it has been good to get out of the office, but more so, as you said at the start, this is, I guess, an office favourite, and it's also one of my favourites. And now that I've been able to walk through it and see the finishes in person and touch and feel it, yeah, it's really has come up. It's a ripper.
And that's the thing, I guess, Gav, not that we like to market ourselves much on this channel, but if this is what someone wants to do, I guess what they're going to learn in this mini-series and what you've learned talking to Gab today, I guess the due diligence and feasibility that goes into the early stages, identifying these diamonds in the rough. You know, you were the only punter here that was fair income on that auction day, which is astounding based on where we stand today and what we're looking at today. But that's the difference between knowing what you're looking at, being able to do things quickly, swiftly, come here, purchase it, you know, under the cloak of darkness, and you just stole it out from everyone. So I think, yeah, that's the value that good buyers advocacy development partner can do for you.
Well, if there's any agents out there watching this, and I know that some of them do, if you've got any other properties on the Bayside area, on a corner or something with 3 frontages, just give me a call and I'll have a good look at it.
Let's go, and don't tell anyone else, just bring them to us. So, but thanks, Gav. We'll see you probably in a week or so.
Great, look forward to it.
Good on you guys. Thanks for hanging around. Rip a little episode, part 1 of the 3-part mini-series of Dorothea Ave Hyatt. Now, make sure you get across to Instagram, come say hello, dropping stuff over there all the time. And make sure you jump in the littlefishnetwork.com.au. Thank me later. It's free to become a fish. Lots of resources in there. So if you like that, you'll definitely like it in there. Thanks everyone for hanging around, and make sure if you need a knockdown rebuild, dual occupancy or multi-unit development site like this very one, please book a consultation and we'll see if we can help. All right guys, thanks for hanging around this long. See you on the next one.